So you know how certain games are just better than others? Certain games are just that more addicting than other games. Certain games are fast-paced games compared to certain other games. Certain games use different tools and statistics to keep you engaged in that game longer than most of these other games nowadays. You would think that certain games are made by accident. Let's just create a game and add this and that and just hope that it blows up, right? No, you're entirely mistaken. There's a way more darker psychology and roles and statistics that certain developers are using to make games addicting in certain ways to keep you engaged as long as possible. And that's actually what modern gaming is actually turning into nowadays, such as the live service games, such as the big corporations, the Call of Duties, the Marvel Rivals as well, that have been very addicting for some very many players as well. There are certain things in those games that keeps people engaged, keeps you addicted, keeps you playing, keeps you wanting more and more of that game, to where it almost just erases anything outside of your life because you're so addicted to that game. And today in this video, you are going to learn some different methods that they use, different tools and tactics, all sorts of things that keeps players engaged like you, and how you can actually figure out the why and the reason, and how you can actually understand how everything kind of works when it comes to developers creating games to keep players engaged, such as me and such as you, my friend. So if you're like me, you kind of grew up on that Call of Duty style fast-paced shooting, right? Fast-paced shooting, kill streaks, different characters, a great storyline and all that good stuff, right? And it seemed like all of this was kind of made as an accident. You know, a developer just kind of came in and just made Call of Duty, and it was an accident that that game became one of the most popular games in the whole wide world till this day. Well, actually, you'd actually be surprised that it's not by accident at all, and there's actually a core reason behind why that game is actually popular nowadays and back then as well. Quite shockingly, there's a team of psychologists that are actually behind certain games as well, that use different tactics, such as I mentioned earlier, to keep you engaged into certain games as well. There's behavioral scientists, there's graphic designers whose entire job is just to make sure that you never want to stop playing their game. And the scary part about all of that is your shit is actually working. It's working, it's been working for decades now, and it's working till this day. And it's actually getting worse because they're creating live service games to kind of keep you engaged in different tactics that kind of keeps that game more active throughout a much longer time frame. So before we kind of dive into the tactics of what they use, we actually have to understand how our mind works, what chemicals makes us feel good, what chemicals and methods the psychologists are actually studying to be able to make certain games more engaging. And the very first thing that we're actually going to talk about is going to be the dopamine effect. So some of you are probably sitting there thinking like, okay, what does dopamine mean? Well, dopamine is just a feel-good chemical in your brain, right?
Nice, good grab.
The thing that kind of, whenever you're shooting someone, you kill them, you send them back to the lobby, that feels good, right? The ability that you use, that you pop your ultimate, and next thing you know, you're getting 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 kills. That's your dopamine. The tactical ability that you use to be able to get to a higher ground and be able to rain hell on certain players, that's dopamine. It's the feel-good chemical that you get inside your head that makes you feel good. That's almost like a reward that entices you. Hey, I like this. Let's do it again. It's a rush, right? Think of it like gambling. Think of it as sports betting. Think of it as certain games. You know, think of it as battle passes. Think of it as supply drops. You know, you open a supply drop. You know, you have the chance of either getting something that can be well worth, you know, a rarity item, or you have something that can be, you know, a pretty least common item. That's the dopamine effect. They use that to kind of trigger your dopamine to kind of get you excited. Holy hell, I just want a rare item. You know, all by simply opening a loot box, right? And they use those supply drops, loot bins, to be able to get that dopamine triggered in your head to make you feel good. And then what they do is they want you to pay money to be able to get those loot boxes in order for you to kind of keep that dopamine constant flowing. And that's how Counter-Strike was able to become such a popular game as well, through all the different loot bins and, you know, CSGs, all the different streamers putting thousands, millions of dollars into those games, all by simply just buying different supply drops, loot bins, and constantly unlocking and unboxing things. And they're constantly getting that dopamine effect, hoping, praying to get a rare item nowadays, right? So imagine a game is designed to keep giving you those little hints over and over and over. You know, first it's kills, then it's supply drops, then it's characters, then it's ultimate abilities, then it's tactical abilities, then it's graphic designs, over and over, just enough to keep you chasing the very next high. That's where it starts getting a little bit dark, right? Well, this is only the tip of the iceberg. Now that you understand what dopamine is, let's dive into what other methods that they use to keep you engaged. And the very first one that we're actually going to start off with is the leaderboards, right? But while you are here, if you guys are enjoying the content, feel free to subscribe. That lets me know a small YouTuber such as myself is actually reaching a certain audience such as you, and that lets me know if you guys are actually enjoying the content. So subscribe, like, and just let me know how everything is in the comment section down below. But moving on to the leaderboards. Leaderboards weren't made for no reason, right? You may think, hey, they added a leaderboard. Let's see, you know, how many kills that I can actually get. Hey, I got this amount of kills. Hoorah, you know? They add a leaderboard in the game and it feels harmless, right? Well, you know, when you have your kills versus, you know, 10 other people in a lobby, you're constantly chasing that kill leaderboard to be the best player in the game, right? Well, what happens when you're constantly the best player in your game, right? Well, let's take it to another step, right? Developers decided to take it to another step, right? They decided to add a leaderboard that showcases your friends. See how well you compete with your friends. And then friends, it makes things a little bit more interesting, right? Because you know these people IRL, so you can actually talk your smack. Hey, did you check the leaderboards recently? Guess where I'm at. Get your weight up, baby. You know what I'm saying? You can actually talk smack to those guys IRL. And the fact that they've made those leaderboards in your friends where you can kind of compete with your friends, that makes things even more intensifying. That makes you compete even more better and harder, especially if you're a competitor as well. That makes you want to be engaged into the game even more because you're always going to be competing with your friends. Well, what happens when you're already the best player in your friends group, your IRL friends group, or your social friends group, right? Well, they decided to take it a step further and also include people leaderboards around the whole world for people who are actually playing that particular game. Call of Duty, Marvel Rivals, Battlefield, Arc Raiders, Marathon, so on, so forth. If you're already the best player in your friends group, why not throw leaderboards against the whole world? Let's see where you rank versus you against the whole world. And if you're a competitor in gaming, like most of us are who kind of grew up on Call of Duty, you don't want to be at the bottom. You don't want to be the 10,937 player out of X amount of players, right? Just because, like, no, we can do better than that. And that's going to entice you to keep playing the game. That's going to entice you to get better at the game. That's going to intrigue you to want to play the game more. That's going to allow you to put more time into the game, to be even a little bit more competitive. And then they take it a step further by adding tournaments, adding competition, adding ranked, adding money into some of these games as well. So if you have all of that bundled into some of these games, you tell me how addicting some of these games are. And those are the different tactics that they're using to keep players engaged in the dark psychology of what these developers are doing nowadays. And that's just leaderboards. We didn't even get to the other stuff. But now that we kind of got leaderboards out the way, let's transition a little bit, right? What is the next thing that you guys are kind of seeing most of these games have nowadays, right? Let's think Call of Duty, right? You have your shooters, you have your first person shooters, you have your kills, or better yet, let me ask you this. What is a huge difference that separates Call of Duty compared to Battlefield, right? I'll give you guys 3 seconds to kind of think about that. Uno, dos, tres. Kill streaks, right? Kill streaks. Fast-paced shooting and kill streaks, right? You know what it feels like whenever you're on a freaking 5 kill streak, a 6 kill streak, a 7 kill streak, 8, 9, 10, 24, 25 kill streak. Next thing you know, you see your name in the kill feed, you know, in the game, and then everybody sees your name, and you're gonna talk your shit, you know, to the other team and to your team as well. The next thing you pop in that kill streak takes away like half the player base because you're dropping a tactical nuke, and the tactical nuke ends the game. That's not by accident. That's not by accident. That's purposely designed for people who are competitive, such as you and me, to keep you engaged, to keep you getting better at the game, and to keep you chasing that dopamine high. The problem with Battlefield is a good game, in my opinion, right? But how does it reward you when getting kills? There's no reward system. Let's say you get 5 kills. Let's say you get 10 kills, 15 kills, right? What reward do you technically get for getting those kills, right? Yeah, you get a better KD, you know, yeah, you're in the leaderboards, right? But like, there's just constant killing with no sense of reward involved into that gaming system as well. And in my opinion, I think that's why the downfall of Battlefield happened, is because that huge difference. There is no dopamine incentive to keep you playing that game because you're not getting those kill streaks. It's not very fast paced. And nowadays, everything in the world is kind of fast paced. You have TikTok, which kind of keeps your engagement, your attention span very short. You have Instagram, then you have Facebook, and you have YouTube as well. So all of those things are designed to keep your attention span short, right? And then you have these shooters, games nowadays are trying to make things super fast paced to keep you engaged into the game as well. A slow paced game such as a Battlefield won't really last unless you're getting some sort of constant dopamine hit, you know, kill streak, if it's fast paced, things that particular nature. That's my opinion as far as why Battlefield didn't really perform the way it did. Now, what is the other thing that a lot of these games are starting to add as well, right? You have kill streaks, you have fast paced action, and then you also have one more thing that you're also starting to see in some of these games as well. Call of Duty, Marvel Rivals, Apex. I'm gonna give you guys 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. So, ultimate abilities, right? You know, when your ultimate ability is constantly generating, you know, sometimes in Marvel Rivals, right? And how it works is like you get those kills depending on what you do. Either you're playing the objective or you're getting those kills. That ultimate ability rises even faster. So it's rewarding you. If you get kills or play the objective, it rewards you dopamine that your ultimate ability can rise even faster. And once you get that ultimate ability, you pop that joint. Next thing you know, you're kind of taking out the whole lobby. You know, in Marvel Rivals, you know, 6 players, whatever the case may be, right? Apex, you know, you're taking out 3, 4 players, depending on what kind of ult you use, right? That ultimate ability is a game-changing scenario, right? It makes you feel good because you work for that ultimate ability to gain and rise and be used. And now that you pop that ultimate ability, it changes the game and that makes you feel good. At the end of the day, that's that dopamine that's hitting your head like, holy shit, let's do it again. So now you're going to constantly try to feed that ultimate ability by getting kills, by doing objectives, whatever the case may be, because you want to chase that high of getting that dopamine once again with your ultimate ability and possibly using that ultimate ability to kind of change the game. Some of the most popular games that are doing those constant dopamine hits are your Call of Duties, your Marvel Rivals, and your Apex. Those games have been around for quite some time. Apex has been here for years. Marvel Rivals is just getting started, in Call of Duty, well, you know, Call of Duty. So yeah, so they have those 3 different things in common. They have many more things as well, but I'm just going to give you guys the basics of how those developers are actually using some of those dopamine hits to kind of keep you engaged into the game. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that's all fair play? You know, it doesn't really matter to you, or you actually prefer it because, you know, you want to kind of feel good. I mean, I honestly don't care. I just think that this is something that most people should actually know what they're getting into, because it's kind of some dark shit that they're doing. Most people may not even be aware of the different tools and tactics that they're doing to keep you engaged into the goddamn game. It's some dark ass shit. So I feel like most people actually should be aware. But let me know what you guys think about with this video. Let me know if you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you guys actually understand what I'm saying here and if it actually makes sense to you. And also, if you guys enjoy the content, feel free to subscribe as well. That lets me know a small YouTuber like myself has a better chance of making it into this content creation game. That lets me know people like you are actually enjoying this content. That entices me to keep moving forward with this YouTube journey that I am on. But other than that, I appreciate you guys. I will see you guys in the next video. I am out of here. Peace.